Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Welcome today to the review slash a showcase of a brand new model from one of my favourite little niche micro brands, Stratton. Now I've looked at 3 or 4 Strattons on the channel before. I really like the styling, kind of bold 1970s motor racing inspired retro chronographs. Kyle, the owner, is a bit of a petrol head. He races a vintage Alpha himself at the weekends, so it's natural that this is the style of watch that he wants his company to produce. Now, I've looked at a few in the past, like I said. They all tend to feature either Valjoux automatics or a cheaper option with a Seiko Mecha Quartz movement. This one is a little bit different. This one is called the Classic Driver or the Daily Driver, depending on which of the two size options you go for. Kyle wanted to produce something that was less than $300 that could be worn as a daily driver. Quartz powered, sapphire crystal, all stainless steel construction. Something that will endure a bit of rough and tumble. You can wear in situations that you probably wouldn't want to wear your more expensive Valjoux powered automatic Strattons. Now, full disclosure, these 8 watches that I've got to show you today, as I said, it's a bit of a showcase. They're all prototypes. They are heading back to Kyle as we speak, but I do get to pick the one colorway and size that I fancy for myself. Let's flip the camera and get on with it then. So that was the design brief then, to come up with a relatively affordable and durable watch that can be worn by fans of the Stratton brand as their daily driver. That should be the premise of the review then, shouldn't it? Has Kyle succeeded? Did he create the watch that fulfills that brief? Without meaning to render the next 8 to 10 minutes of this video worthless, yes, I think he pretty much did what he set out to do. These daily drivers, the 44mm variant or the classic drivers, the 40, are $299 and that's shipped anywhere in the world. That means they are considerably cheaper than any other Stratton that has been available to this point. Even the Mecha Quartz variants on pre-order start at around $350 to $400, perhaps even more than that, dollars. And as you can see by the more subdued colour palette on the table today, these are a little bit more conservative than some of his other more outlandish and colourful designs of the past and the future. You wouldn't really want to wear a bright yellow bullhead as your daily, now would you? Does that mean to say these watches will sell by the million? Perhaps not. As I said in the intro, they're still a bit of a niche micro brand, and even though this one is a little more affordable and a little more subdued in terms of the design, it's not exactly what you would call cheap though. What I'm going to do is I'm going to size up 2 of these, so I'm going to show you 2 of them on wrist. I'm going to run through dimensions and specifications, then I'll flash up each of the various colorways. You're certainly not short of choices when it comes to picking up a Stratton, and then I'll run through what I think are the pros and cons of this one if you do indeed want to wear it as a daily. Regardless of which of the different colours or sizes you go for, they all come in this rather attractive little Stratton travel pouches. I do like these. They're much more sensible and practical than a box, and the Stratton is just about the best of them. So I'm going to start with the larger of the 2 models, and it is a big and chunky watch. 44mm in diameter, as I mentioned, 13.5mm thick, 51mm lug tip to lug tip. 22mm on the lugs, tapering down to 20, back up to 22 on the clasp, and sized up for me, this one weighs in at a not inconsiderable for a quartz 175 grams. So it may be a daily driver, but you certainly know that it's there. All 316L stainless steel construction. That is a kind of 3-piece case here. Screw down case back, 200 meters of claimed water resistance with this one. It does have a screw down crown. No screw down pushers though, and I'll talk about that a bit later on. That is an aluminium tachymeter bezel insert and a piece of dead flat sapphire crystal covering that sunburst dial there. Bracelet, fairly simple, all stainless steel H-link. Nice curve to those links. Just push pins here. It is a proper press clasp though, even if it is a slightly basic one. Double security pushers, engineered clasp, 3 micro adjusts and solid end links. The classic driver is same but smaller, so 40mm in diameter, just over 13mm thick, 48.5 lug tip to lug tip, 20mm lug width, tapering down to 18, back up to 20 at the clasp, sized up for my 7-inch wrist, this one weighing at just under 160 grams, so proportionally smaller and lighter than the daily. Both different sizes contain the Miyota 6S21 quartz chronograph. So we've got a date complication frame down there at the 6 o'clock and 2 subdials. This is actually a ticking second subdial at the 3 o'clock, and it's a 60-minute chrono over there at the 9. So one push of the top pusher starts the chrono, 4 ticks per second, so you get the look of a mechanical chronograph, but with the 3-year battery life and plus or minus 20 seconds per month as opposed to per day accuracy that you get from quartz. One push to stop, one push of the bottom pusher to reset. Finishing is all brushed throughout, again a sensible choice if this watch is going to be a daily driver. Polished surfaces, polished bezels, polished lugs, etc. are the first things to scratch, so you always get more durability and a better look long term from brushed surfaces. Nice little Stratton crown there, plenty of grip on that, and just plain unsigned pushers. Popping a link to show you the screw down stainless steel caseback, and that is the vintage Alpha GTV that Kyle races at the weekends. Daily driver chrono here, Stratton Watch Company, that's the particular model reference, Daily Driver Classic, and 20 atmospheres, 200 meters of water resistance. Zoomed in on the dial of this larger bright green sunburst effect on the Daily Driver there. I do like this colour of green, and it matches nicely with the aluminium bezel insert. I'll start the chrono just to get the hands moving, give us something to look at. So Applied Stratton logo underneath the 12 there, just Daily Driver. Kyle tends to design the watches to look a little bit outlandish, but doesn't over brand them, doesn't fill or clutter the dials, which I do appreciate. Not with text anyway. Little date frame around there, so Applied logo, Applied date frame, everything else is just printed on. So these batons are just printed on. We've got a minute track, 1/5 of a minute track there on the main dial. Rihote chapter ring with minute markers and 5-minute markers, and a tachymeter bezel scale around here if you do want to use it for calculations. Now 10 different colorways available on the Daily Driver and 6 different colorways available for the smaller classic driver. The smaller watch is broadly similar in terms of layout, but as you can see there, it features applied indices, so a double baton at 12, single batons everywhere else. Now not quite as much colour on these small ones either, just a little splash of orange there on the tip of the chrono hand. Let's have a look at some of these other colourways then. Now these got a little bit damaged on the way down here to meet in Sydney. There's a couple of dings on the bezel of a couple of these models, which you will obviously not find on production units. I do like this one, the kind of silver panda. Black subdials, nice silver sunburst effect. You can see the AR, the blue AR of that sapphire crystal popping. Silver against the black chapter ring and a black bezel insert there on the tachymeter bezel. And if you really want to highlight the motorsport vibe, then definitely one of these ones with the stripes on the dial. Again, kind of blue, grey and orange, reminiscent of the Gulf colours of the 1970s. And another one of the different stripe dial options. 5 different options if you like stripes. I'm guessing Kyle expects these ones to be popular. Smaller ones, there are no stripy options unfortunately, so you're going to have to go with solid dial colours. Again, this Panda one with a silver insert is one of the more conservative options available to you, as is the Captain Sensible black on black with silver subdials, or a very 1970s burgundy brown. Now if you are using this watch as a daily, then you do want a little bit of lume on the hands and the indices, and there is a little bit of lume on the hands and the indices. These are prototypes obviously, so not necessarily representative, but don't be expecting the same lume as you get from a diver because you're probably not going to get it. Let's get them on wrist then, starting with the larger Daily Driver. Now, big watch, as I noted, 44mm, 170 grams, and a long lug to lug anyway at 51. Plus, it's got that protruding mid-link of the end link, so it certainly wears quite large, but because of the curvature of the lugs and because that mid-link has got quite a dramatic drop on it, it actually wears really, really nicely on my 7-inch wrist. I'm quite surprised actually. Bigger watch, certainly nice and legible with those silver hands against that green sunburst dial. The 2 silver subdials also glinting away there nicely. And the smaller 40mm size does also wear quite large for a 40. Again, reasonable lug to lug at 48.5, but it's got that protruding mid-link, but there is a fair conformity immediately, so it wears quite nicely. And that's a proper overhead shot for your reference on the smaller model. Pros and cons then. If you were to pick up one of these as your daily driver, what does it have going for it? Well, that Miyota Quartz movement may work nicely in your favour as a kind of grab and go, a set and forget daily, something that you only need to consider the timekeeping on it every 3 years rather than every 40 hours if you've got a Seiko automatic movement and it keeps running out of juice. Sapphire crystal on there, all stainless construction, everything's brushed. The watch is going to look pretty good even if you do beat it up. Now that aluminium bezel insert is going to be the first thing to go, but that just adds to the charm of a watch, I think. They both wear quite large, but they both wear quite well. And you're not short of different colours. So you can definitely have a Straton, something that's clearly identifiable as a Straton on your wrist, but for a relatively more affordable price than was possible previously. Cons. It's a Miyota Quartz. That is not a particularly inspirational movement in a watch that costs $300. And I know that some people are instantly turned off by quartz and won't even be watching this part of the video, but that's okay. I hope they enjoyed the first 2 minutes. On that basis, you're not getting an awful lot of watch for your $300. The sapphire's flat, the bracelet and clasp are okay, but it's not screw links and it's the base model clasp. And I would question the claimed 200 meters of water resistance from a watch that doesn't have screw down chrono pushers. I don't think it needs to claim 200 meters. 100 meters would be fine. I've had other Stratons in the past that have claimed 100 meters of water resistance, perfectly sufficient for this type of watch. Perhaps I'm being unfairly cynical here, and it does have a genuine 200 meters, but I wouldn't be taking this one diving regardless. So to go back to where we started then, this watch definitely fulfills its brief. It gives potential Straton owners and current Straton owners a more affordable watch, a more affordable way of getting into the brand and getting a Straton on their wrist that can take a bit more rough and tumble, that's going to be durable long term. But you're definitely buying this one because you like the looks and you're a fan of the brand. So there you have it, the Straton Classic Driver / Daily Driver. I get where Kyle is coming from with these ones. It's got that Straton DNA running through it, but at a more affordable price point and in a, frankly, a bit of a more robust package, certainly than the Valjoux 7750 powered Specials and Ligeiras that I've looked at in the channel in the past. Price wise, you can obviously get your pick of automatic dive watches, not necessarily automatic chronos, but certainly a bunch of dive watches at or around $300 US. So again, you're buying a Straton because you're buying into the brand, you're buying into that kind of retro chrono 70s styling. For me, what am I going to go for? Well, I think I'm going to go for the Classic Driver. I'm going to go for the slightly smaller one, and I'll be getting Kyle to ship me one of the Panda models. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.